Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. All right, I'm going to
Hey.
give everyone a few minutes to kind of come on in. I am so excited to have the one and only Dr. Greta Golf Anderson here. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm so good. Every time I talk to you, I get a burst of energy.
I'm so glad
And
to hear.
I was
Likewise.
actually, I was just listening to our podcast episode, and you give so many visuals about storytelling and your unique contribution. And I think if it's one thing that people should take away from the episode, which is live, by the way, is that no matter how intimidating you feel like the media landscape is, no matter how novice you think you are, I mean, you have a lot of experience, but there's people who are just coming into media that it is your duty to share your slice of the cake, right? So can you
Right.
tell me a little bit more about kind of the analogy that you gave us on the episode?
Sure. I talked about actually, I love cake too, but I actually talked about pizza, right? And so if you think about this entire, pizza pie, maybe that's the extra large or the medium, whichever size it is, your slice is this, your unique slice can be this big or that big. Nonetheless, it's your unique slice. And you have to share that with the world. No one else is going to, make the presentation or teach at or, create the product or the service the way that you would. No one else. It might be the same or very similar, but no one will present it the way you will. And so it really is our duty because someone out there in this big wide world needs to hear about that product, about that service, about that innovation in a way that only you can describe it and share it. So you got to do it. It's just you got to do it.
Yeah. And what I love about your story is you are one of the only African American women pro golfers in probably one of the widest sports in history. So
Yeah.
you've always been the only person who looked like you on these spaces that you occupy, but that hasn't stopped you from going out there to build brand partnerships, to talk to brands that maybe have ambassadors that maybe didn't look like you. So can you tell
Mhm.
me a little bit about how like you were able to overcome that imposter syndrome and say, I'm going to pitch myself to become an ambassador and do a partnership with you?
Sure. I'm keenly aware that right. I'm in a very heretofore kind of monolithic kind of industry and sport. We're all working to change that, but it's a lot to change. But I've just always approached to that. I mean, rather obviously, if I come into the meeting or the space, you can take a look pretty quickly and see I tend not to blend into the room so much. But instead of viewing that as this kind of hindrance, I always use it as an opportunity. You're always going to
Yep.
remember me, right? You've been
Yes.
there, right? I mean, I've been there. We have our big industry trade shows, and I mean, I remember. I mean, in the beginning, in many ways, honestly, I kind of did view it as a burden because I'm like, oh my God, everybody always remembers me. They remember my name. But then all of a sudden, I said, hold up, everybody remembers me. They always remember my name. Let's use that as a force for good. And so it is. I mean, it happens all the time. Dr. Greta, I can't always say it's the reasons that they may remember me in the beginning, but by the time we get to the middle, I want them to remember because of my efforts, because of my intention, and because of my commitment to excellence in my craft. And so that allows me for them to learn my name, perhaps for one reason or another. But as we go along, I'm a real contributor and they can see that. And so that's where I kind of try to help them see. And ultimately, that's kind of how I view transforming our industry and the game by helping you see that people see that we can be we're better together, we're stronger together, we can really affect the world positively when it's a diversity of voices doing that. And so that's kind of
Amen. Yes, that's why I'm so proud of this community. I was looking over the people in the Facebook group and the people who are in the starter pack, and I'm proud to
Mhm.
say I have over 90% women of color who are in
Yeah,
the starter pack. And
yeah,
I love that. And you're just so inspiring with your story of, being in like, the widest sport in history, but you're forging your path, you're using it for good.
yeah.
And that's actually the pitch we wrote as well. So
Mhm, mhm.
I want to play a little clip for the people who are just joining. By the way, put in the comments like where you are calling in from and who you are, so we know that you're here and Dr. Greta can say hi to you. But I'm going
Yeah.
to play a little clip from let's see if it works, because last time when I tried to do it, it was like a hot mess. So we're going to try to play. Let's see if we can. Is this working? Okay, I'm just going to play this a little clip here from the whole episode The whole episode is so good, y'all. You have to go to glorychalpr.com/podcast, listen to the whole thing. But I want to play a little clip just to give you a little bit of inspiration, because Dr. Greta gives us so much inspiration in this one. So let me know if you can hear it.
Can you hear
it? You can't hear? Can you hear or no?
I can't.
No. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. Ugh, this is so annoying. Let's see. How? Okay, let me try it again.
And a lot of early stage entrepreneurs have is they say, Dr. Greta, I don't have a PhD. I haven't been in the field for longer than 5 years. What do you have to say to that? And they still want to pitch. I know I have my answer to that, but I want to hear from you. What would you say to that?
Well, instead of thinking about this pitch to the whole wide world, I invite you to kind of reel it back in and think about what it is you do or whatever service you offer. And we all do something in a unique way. I always like to think about this. I'm holding my finger there. The fingerprint. Like every day I think about the fingerprint, because each and every one of us has one, and they're mighty similar, but we know that they're unique. So just as I am one of many teaching professionals that has walked this earth at some point in time, but my teaching style is just a little bit more unique. So how does that look? And then share that, communicate that. That is your area of expertise. Maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 25 years, but that is you, and that's where you have to stand on.
Yeah, I love that so much. And, when you talk about the actual, like, breaking down the pitch and how you, have a value-driven approach, obviously, in my CPR method, which stands for credibility, point of view, and relevance, credibility can be more of an internal confidence. So, C for credibility, but it's really C for confidence. Mm-hmm. So, we've written pitches for people who just launched or who are not launched or who just started a new business in a new industry. And all they need to say in the pitch is, I am a founder. That's it. You don't need to have all these accolades or whatever, right? So, that's for sure. And then in terms of the point of view, like what you said is, what is your unique thing that you bring to the table? So maybe for golf, and the one that we wrote, right, is like 3 ways that like golf clubs and golf communities can truly be more inclusive. And here are the actionable steps. So can you talk to me a little bit more about kind of, how, whether it's the CPR method or just being on media has taught you about like writing? Because you said you were used to write in an academic way, whereas now it's completely different. So what does a pitch look like, the length, what have you learned?
I learned that the pitch needs to be just right in terms of length. I don't have, I'm not that refined yet in my crafting. I'm not as good as you do it so well and so fast, but I'm working on it. But don't overload it, right? Yes, you're trying to open the door and build a relationship with the person to whom you're pitching, but like it is not the time to overload them with everything you know. And it's kind of like what we find in a lot of professions, but I know this because it's part of my role. I serve as a global education teacher. I teach the world's golf teachers, the new and developing golf teachers. I teach them. And one of the things, it's a common thread, which happens to all of us, we were all there. We give too much. We're trying to overload. We don't know we're overloading, but we're overloading the student. We want to throw everything in. As soon as the ball is not flying quite to the satisfaction of the student, we want to keep, whoa, you got to slow down. Stick to 2 or 3 points, right? And work on those. And that's what I do. I cannot throw 25 points to help, blah, 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 blah. That's not going to work. Pick 3 or 4 real, concrete, valuable insights that the journalist could use and go with that and develop those well, but don't throw the whole kitchen sink at them, and use it as a starting point of a good conversation.
I love that. And also be specific, right? Okay. Because if you're too fluffy and if you talk to everyone, then you end up talking to no one.
Absolutely.
So that's what brings me to my next point is, a lot of times when I'm writing pitches for people, I always want to look for what is that statement that's going to stick out. That might be a little polarizing, but guess what? Experts have a point of view.
That's right. That's right.
So where do you draw the balance between, like, if someone is afraid to make a statement that might be polarizing, but then at the same time they need to step into that role of an expert and they need to have a point of view?
Well, I think that that fear of polarization and some of the objection that can come with polarization gets nullified, at least to an extent, if you know precisely and feel strongly about who you're serving. For example, on say, my YouTube channel, I post pretty regularly, have a, good little following there. But sometimes, and I have to, be careful because, I'll get these comments, like that's not true. Well, I may not be speaking to that person. So it may not be true for him or her, but it's true for my target audience. And I have to honor and stand up for her, all the time. This might not be for you, and that's okay. You may not even like what I said, but she needs to hear it. And so I'm okay with saying that, and go ahead, throw a dart, figuratively speaking. And I'm okay with it. You just kind of have to be okay with that. You're not going to please everyone. It's a metaphor for life. You're not going to please everyone.
But if you don't, picture.
So that's just, I'm so tempted to just play the whole thing because I just loved.
That's a great conversation.
Our conversation is so good, and you just so seamlessly bring your wisdom in a not like condescending way, but it just flows out of you. And we're just so happy that you're here. So now that the episode has aired and we've listened to it, are there some questions that you're getting from people? Like, are there any like things that you want to share that maybe you wish you could have shared in the episode that you want to tell people?
I think that we kind of covered it, but I want to say just, explicitly that, the worst thing that can happen is a no. But on the other side, I'm not the first person to say this, so it's nothing new, but I just want you to hear it from me again, is that the everything you want is on the other side of hitting that button.
Yes!
You have to do it. Things are, things will come. You'll do one thing, and because you're there, and just know that it's not going to be perfect. Like the first time that I decided to do kind of an in-depth, kind of nationally publicized webinar, I was nervous. I'm on camera all the time. I teach all the time. So I'm not so nervous about that. But this was a little bit different. As you know, when you're doing bigger, longer kind of presentations and that type of thing, it can be flustering. I want to tell you that everything that could go wrong in that moment literally went wrong. This camera, which is a very nice camera that I'm using right now, the tripod just decided to break. So I have a really nice lens on there. The camera fell. The camera fell like 6 feet. The lens jammed into the body of the camera. I've got 4 minutes before, 440 people that have signed up for this thing are going live. The camera is literally dangling. I'm like sweating. I have to go. I pull out. Fortunately, I'm a golf pro, so I have tons of boxes of golf balls that are really sturdy. I go and I jury rig this, this thing here. It was everything that could wrong. I couldn't find the deck in the computer. Everything that could go wrong will go wrong. So I'm not saying that it's going to always be smooth, but you know what? If you don't do it, you'll never get through it, right? And so once things happen, you'll realize I'm going to be here standing. And not only am I going to be standing, I'm going to be standing here stronger. And I've been out there. And so guess what? Things happen. So it's interesting because I've been different places and I'm being seen more. Just later today, I'm serving as the guest host on someone's podcast.
Woo!
See, these things just kind of come and come and come.
Yeah.
You're more ready than we always think. We can be our own most harsh critics. But if you're here, you're ready. You're ready for it.
Dr. Greta, you have decades of experience in golf, and you just joined the starter pack recently. Imagine if you joined like 10 years or 20 years ago, right?
I'm telling you what.
You have.
but my big phrase, people will that know me won't say that but it was the perfect time.
Yeah.
It was right on time.
It was right on time.
So 10 years from now, I will be saying like, what, back in what year was that? Right around that crazy pandemic. Yeah.
I started this business during the pandemic, really, like what you're seeing now. So, the universe really rewards action. And, I had Tanisha Simone, who was on episode 2.
Amazing episode.
Right?
I was driving and I just pulled over and listened.
She's
Just a great website.
incredible. She got like 10
Yes.
plus or so outlets without being funded. It was just an idea. She didn't have a finished website. And she said that, what do I have to lose? I don't know this editor. If I keep following up too much, the worst I can say is no, but if I don't, I'll never get my brand, get my business out in front of more people. And because she used the actionable tips in the PR starter pack with her own mental strength and wisdom, she got on Shape, Bustle, Pop Sugar, Club Industry, Well and Good, Time, and she was able to get her crowdfunding campaign like finished like that.
And did a significant pivot of her business model.
Yeah. Yep. You're allowed to change. You're allowed,
That's
and that's
right.
the thing about press is because it's not an ad for your company, it's about you and you're allowed to change, right? I mean, Facebook just rebranded yesterday. They're getting press. So don't think about like, oh, I got to wait for a perfect time for press when I have everything, your ducks in a row. Well, when you have your duck in a row, no one's going to be listening to you.
The duck is already down the stream by then. Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. It's fluidity. I mean, that's to
Yeah.
me, that's kind of the great strength of it. I mean, and we're all hopefully an ever evolving model
Yeah.
of where we began.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope you can join us on Monday for the call with the Forbes Refinery 29 writer, Margot Lushing. For anyone that has joining the PR Starter Pack, you'll get an exclusive invite. It's the first time I've done this where I've invited a journalist at top tier outlets. She writes for Brit & Co., Forbes, Refinery, and she will be on the call live. You can pitch her live. We have a form that you can submit anonymously, and I cannot wait for you to actually get to meet a journalist live. So you're going to get the invite as well, Dr. Greta. And anyone who's watching, who wants to meet a journalist live, who wants to be in the same community as Dr. Greta, join the PR Starter Pack. And don't forget to give us a rate and follow on our podcast so that you can win a one-on-one session with me. Last but not least, don't forget to follow Dr. Greta and show her some love, y'all. I'm going to share my screen so I can show people your Instagram, but this is her Instagram. Show her some love. If you have any questions, let her know, but she's such an active member of our community. She's also interviewed Dr. Ross, who's also in the starter pack.
Yes.
The community just keeps on. So give her some love. Hope you can join us in the starter pack. Hope I can meet you on Monday. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. And as always, I so appreciate you listening to the podcast, for staying here on a Friday, for coming back week after week after week. And thank you for that. So is there anything else you want to say, Dr. Greta, on this beautiful Friday?
I wouldn't say thank you. I mean, the PR Starter Pack, I mean, it's your vision, and your vision is helping, tons of founders like myself and others live our vision and expand our vision and share our vision. So I just want to say thank you, because I believe in giving flowers right when people are there. And so thank you so much, because, as I've said on a couple of occasions, I was kind of like, I don't know about this, but what a difference it's made, and it's making, more importantly. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to connect with us and go hit up Dr. Greta. So have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, and happy Halloween. I will see you next Friday, but don't forget on Monday, every Monday, we have a new episode releasing, and I'll give you a little hint on who next Monday's podcast guest is. He's been on a previous Facebook Live. He's one of my most favorite childhood friends, and he calls himself the Gay Unicorn. So maybe you know who this person is.
It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. So it's going to drop on Monday.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.